Right, guys, it's end of the weekend, so time for me and Mags. Mags
Hello.
with me to wrap up what happened on Matchday 5. Yeah, Matchday 5.
Matchday 5.
Matchday 5. It's rapid review time. So, with that in mind, Mags, shall we start at the beginning of the weekend, as it were, and work way through?
Yeah, so Friday we opened with Newcastle against Leeds, 1-apiece draw. Interesting game. The Alan St. Maximin show, I dare say you could call it. I think that guy was absolutely outstanding. Opened the scoring with a Rafinha goal, assisted by Patrick Bamford, who I think he had a pretty quiet game for Patrick Bamford's standards. But for me, the two stars of the show were actually the two keepers. Darlow and Meslier were just outstanding. Some really top draw saves. I think Meslier is going to be a world-class keeper in the next few years. But yeah, a 1-1 draw for me seemed fair. How about for you?
Yeah, I feel that I feel Leeds could feel a little bit hard done by. To be fair, Leeds actually played phenomenally well for the whole game. Unluckily, without all 3 points, Steve Bruce needed this point big time.
Yeah, I think Leeds had the best opportunity when Firpo fired the ball over the top after doing so well to control it. But Newcastle certainly held their own. Had chances of their own. There was a couple of shots that Meslier tipped onto the post, and I think there was one that he tipped onto the bar. So for me, I think that a draw was a fair result, and I agree with you. I think Bruce needed this result more than Bielsa did.
Everyone proved for that. Halfway through the Leeds were literally effectively run riot at one point. The entire of St James's Park were charging, "We want Brucey out," and then St Maximum goes and puts that ball in, silence the entire stadium pretty much. I like Steve Bruce, and I hope that he can turn it around for his own sake. Because I don't see Newcastle getting a better manager than him at the moment. That's my personal opinion. Right, so Saturday, let's start with the early game, which was Tekkers team of the season, Brentford, going away to Wolves. Your thoughts on this fantastic away victory?
It's a great victory, and Wolves for me have been really impressive to watch. Just not getting the results, kind of like how Brighton was last season, where they played some classy football, but just didn't get the points that they deserve. I think Adama Traore has been superb again this season, but this Brentford team, they're really kind of ripping up the rule book. Ivan Toney absolutely dominated this game.
Wonderful, wasn't he? Wonderful.
Yeah. Scored the penalty, set up Mbuemo for the second one. Just really good to watch football. A bit of a black eye was when Baptiste got sent off for his second yellow. I think there was only a couple of minutes between both bookings. He really kind of lost his head. But yes, a great victory for Brentford. Lifts them up into the top half of the table.
Indeed. I can't agree more to that. Toney may well be the player that everyone wants to get in January in certain dream team transfer windows. You can't really look past him, man. Remember, he's getting goals, he's setting goals up, he's a nuisance. Yeah. And if he's on the team sheet, other defenders do not want to see him, which actually is kind of a Liverpool bear bit thing is he's going to be on against Liverpool next week. Next game, I'm going to try and get past as fast as I can, Mags, which is unfortunately Burnley nil, Arsenal 1. Arsenal got the win, but Burnley played a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, Cornet was a highlight. Vidra played well. Barnes had a good chance that perhaps if he'd have took an extra second or so, he could have scored. But Burnley's undoing was their discipline, giving away silly free kicks, and that led to the goal. A really well taken goal by Odegaard. I've got to give him props for that. I thought he hit that really sweetly. But yeah, Burnley. I said on the Radio Tekkers stream earlier that this is the most concerned I've been for Burnley in terms of staying in the Premiership. Normally, I can see like the positives, and whilst we're playing good football, we're just not scoring anywhere near the amount of goals. And to have 1 point after 5 games is very, very concerning. But hopefully, with the upcoming fixtures, we should be able to turn it around and get out of the relegation zone. The good thing is that the teams around us are also struggling. So we definitely have the opportunity to get out of there.
Absolutely. Let's not forget that Aaron Ramsdale was in goal, and he literally put on. And this me being maybe slightly blinkered, this was arguably his best performance in goal he's had in Premier League. I mean, Burnley literally threw the kitchen sink at him, and he put on, in my opinion, a man of match performance.
And there was even a point where we had a sniff of a penalty shout. For me personally, I don't think it was a penalty. I think Ramsdale got the ball. So aside from that, we looked pretty toothless, apart from when Cornet came on and started that showing that Champions League quality. Hopefully he'll get some more starts and be able to get among the goals and pull us out of this mire that we're in.
Indeed. Be wrong if we didn't touch on the final whistle, bringing about the baiting between the fans. It lasted about 10 minutes. They hurled abuse at each other and a number of missiles at each other, and obviously we do not condone that.
Yes.
And the good thing is that the crowd were dispersed after about 10 minutes. They initially didn't heed the stadium announcement, but eventually did, and eventually they did calm down when they're separate ways. So common sense did prevail.
There's no love lost between Burnley and Arsenal fans, and for Arsenal to be as poor as they are and to come and take 3 points from Turf Moor, it was I can see why the fans were riled.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing as they were below you a couple of weeks ago, and now they're mid-table. But that's how quickly the season can change, of course, as we know. Obviously, the next game to talk about, I will move past it quickly because it was discussed at length on Tekkers, which was Liverpool 3, Crystal Palace 0. A lot of people say that Palace are Liverpool's bogey side, but Liverpool won their last 9 in a row against Palace. How can they call them a bogey team anymore? Really can't.
They certainly can't. This was as dominant a performance that you'll see this weekend. I mentioned that it could have easily been 6-7 goals. Liverpool were the team that won the league a couple of seasons ago. They were that kind of form, and for Navigator to get on the score sheet with a worlder, that was glorious.
It was.
I'll give him grief. I will have,
and rightly so, Maggie. That I myself have not been satisfied with Navigator over the last couple of years. A lot of that's been down to injury and lack of being able to get the team. However, with Gio Wijnaldum now gone, obviously off to the Farmers League, and now there is a spot open up, especially long term, because Harvey Elliott is unfortunately out long term injured. This is Naby's chance to shine. It was an opportunity, and my word, did he make it count? My word, did he make it count?
But I think the main talking point though is Mane getting his 100th goal for the club. Quality goal as well. Not as easy as it actually looked to get that turn and shot off at that angle. But yeah, he's been a great servant for the club.
Absolutely. And to be fair, the reason why we sometimes criticize a player like Sadio Mane because we care. And we want to see him doing better. We want to see the best players in the world play in this league.
Care. You care.
We want. As I said, Meg, I've said many times, winning the league at Atlanta a couple of seasons ago was great and all. But I would much rather be on the winning end of a close-knit fight between the best teams playing at the top of their game, so there can be no arguments. I'd much rather that. And if Mane's finals and you've got midfield chipping in, that's always going to be a good thing. Little shout out to Kostas Tsimikas for stepping in at left back this week yesterday, and Milner at right back actually did a great job.
And Konate for doing so well on his debut.
Absolutely phenomenal debut. Absolutely. Right. Surprise of the weekend. I think you can say this is the upset of the weekend. Man City 0, Southampton 0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's after such a great performance in Europe as well by City. They're really a weird team. Like 1 week you can see why they don't need a striker, and then you get performances like this where they were desperate for an out-and-out striker. Just resolute defending by Southampton. Poor attacking by City, and it led to a boring 0-0.
Well, it'd been 21 home goals this season for Man City already. Pep Guardiola put the shout out where we want fans to turn up. He got the right for it, but in fairness, the biggest crowd they've had this season at home turned up. 64% possession, 16 shots, 1 on target, and Southampton had double the amount of shots on target. Southampton played some really good football here. They weren't just back to the wall. They were really, really pressing at one point. They had penalty appeal correctly overturned. Because Kyle Walker was really red carded for it. But VAR did the right thing. In fact, VAR has been pretty good all weekend. It's been pretty quick. And that's how it should be. And I've said this before. It gets better and better and better. And VAR got this all right today. For that, for sure. Even if Clinton Morrison can't figure out what offside actually is. Norwich 1, Watford 3. Norwich, is it too early to say they're down?
I mean, yeah, I suppose they've still got time, much like Burnley. I mean, we're only 1 point above them, and they had highlights in this game. That Pookie goal, for instance, that was really well taken, really calm and collected. They certainly had the chances, but yeah, this Watford team were just a class above. Saar being the star of the show, grabbing a couple of goals.
My personal thought about Norwich aside, I did say that they would struggle this season, and it is true to form. I do believe that, unlike Burnley, Norwich will not be able to pull themselves out of this. I do think Burnley will pull themselves out of trouble. They always do, and they always manage to do so. Norwich, I do not think, have got the quality. They've not replaced Wenda well.
I mean, they have got decent players. I mean, Kabak is decent, Rashik is decent, Max Aarons is decent, Billy Gilmore is a future star, but they don't seem to play as a team.
This is the thing, Mags. They've got players, they haven't got a team.
Yeah, exactly.
And Burnley have got a team, and they will come good. I'm trying to give you some props there. I will say a little bit of a shout to the goalkeeper for Norwich, because his back was against the wall. Tim Krill had the back against the wall. It was lucky it was free, really. He did the best he could with what was thrown at him. And another upset in the evening game, of course, which was Villa versus Everton. Did anyone think we'd get 3 goals in 9 minutes against Everton?
Yeah, I mean, is it an upset? I mean, I know Rafa has done pretty well at start for Everton, but they missed a lot of big players. They didn't have Pickford. There was no Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So this was the right time to be facing this Everton team. And Villa have spent that Grealish money really, really well with the likes of Ings and Bailey. But that opening goal by Matty Cash What a way to get your first ever goal. That was absolutely glorious. Digna compounded the misery with the own goal, and then that stunning goal by Leon Bailey to finish the game off. I don't think this was as much of a shock as it's the scoreline suggests, but I think it was a great victory for Villa.
This is the first time that Rafa Benitez has not won at Villa Park as a manager.
Wow, did not know that.
Mm-hmm. He's won every single time he's visited this ground. So this was unusual territory for him, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly wasn't expecting it to be quite that result. On to today's games, there was an upset result. You had to feel that way. On paper, you'd put your money on Leicester beating Brighton, and Brighton. What can you say?
I mean, they were shout out to Stephen Grudy again. They were his pick of team for Tekkers, and last season they kind of played some really beautiful football, but didn't get the results. It seems that this season they're playing that same level of football, but they're getting the rub of the green. They're now in fourth, 12 points out of a possible 15. So yeah, roll on Brighton. I'm really, really impressed. Opened with a penalty by Maupay, then doubled the lead with Welbeck. Vardy getting one back. I believe that there was a couple of Vardy goals that were ruled out for offside as well. So perhaps Brighton did fly by the seat of their pants a little bit. But when the luck's with you, and Brighton have done really well. Are we? Is it too early to say Brighton maybe in for a shout at Europe? Maybe.
Well, to be fair, I said that West Ham at Europe last year, and everyone laughed at me. And they made Europe quite comfortably in the end. And even with, and we're going to get onto them in a moment, of course. I think that they will be in the mix again this year, West Ham. But I think it'd be stupid about Brighton. I feel that we are in an era of flux, Mags. I think we have a changing of the guard happening in the Premier League. The teams that once were huge are being the big names. They're just that names now. It's look at the little clubs, as it were, are now becoming teams.
The big six are certainly changing. I do agree with that. I think there's at least a couple of them that can maybe not be classed as big six anymore.
Absolutely. I think Leicester, they've had a tough start. I think this result, Leicester normally produce against really good teams. I do think that Leicester will be thereabouts for the European spots because, they've got some amazing talent. But Brighton start, to think that there's 1 point off the top of the table.
It's mental.
1 point off the top of the table.
That's mental.
That's amazing. That's brilliant. And
good on them.
If they keep on like this, then they'll stay up with that sort of performance. No question about that. They'll be nowhere near that bottom of the table like they were last year.
I mean, with the performances that they're putting in, though, you would have to say that they're looking at Europe. I mean, they're playing as good of football as anybody in the league right now.
You've got that. They've got to have one eye on it. They have to have one eye on it for sure. Over to London Stadium for the middle of the day game and West Ham Man United. This was a game of drama, and it was a lot of drama. West Ham took the lead, of course. Man United came back with their new old boy. New old boy kind of works. With Ronaldo again scoring. Every game he's played and he's scored this season?
He's played 3, scored 4, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. It was. I actually was kind of sad watching this whilst I was doing other things, and I thought that the goal for West Ham certainly looked like it came against the run of play. There was a couple of chances that Ronaldo had before Benrahma scored that I thought maybe he could have put away, or Ronaldo of a couple of years ago would have certainly put away. But what a comeback to equalise, and then Jesse Lingard, the absolute villain in midweek, with that horrific bad back pass to basically condemn Man United to a loss. and then he went and scored against a team where he remade his name. And not only did he score, but it was a world-class goal.
It was a great goal he scored. I take issue with Man United players here, though, after he scored. After he scored, he refused to celebrate. United players kept pushing him, literally, forcefully pushing him to the Man United fans. I'm like, dude, he doesn't want to celebrate, then don't make him.
I think it's
bad.
Yeah, I think the issue is because he's holding off on a new contract. He wants more he wants to be guaranteed game time, which is understandable because when he went on loan to West Ham, he was like a totally new player and was pivotal in getting West Ham into the position that they finished in.
He rebuilt his entire career at West Ham.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
forced his way back in the England setup because of it.
Absolutely, didn't go in the end to the Euros, but he was in the mix for it for sure. Yeah, and then goes back to Man United, and then they sign Ronaldo.
Yeah, and I can sort of see his point not wanting to celebrate against a team that took a chance on him, and he was able to revitalise his career. But I can also see the point of the other Man United players, the last minute drama, being excited about basically plucking victory from the jaws of defeat, and really wanted to show Lingard that the fans do love him. And that he should stick around. But the drama came pretty much after that when David De Gea saved his first penalty in 7 years, I think it is.
It's also amazing because the penalty obviously was given against Luke Shaw, who we lauded with praise, rightly so, during the Euros. And in fact, last season, and in fact, this year he's been very solid as well, to be fair. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a natural position. I get why they gave the penalty. I still don't know if Mark Noble, who was subbed on, if that was him asking to go on and take it, or if that was Moyes' decision, or if that was Noble just overruling Declan Rice. I don't know. But that's his first appearance in 6 months, maybe longer. First kick of the ball he's had in Premier League. And he had, and I'm going to say this, I'm sorry, West Ham fans, the audacity to walk up to that penalty spot and thought that he had the right, even though he has not missed a penalty for West Ham in forever. He is Mr. Reliable. He is their James Milner. Yeah. He is the man who will convert a penalty easily. And from cold, because by all accounts, I'm going by what I've heard, he didn't warm up at all.
No, it felt to me watching the game that Moyes realised that they got a penalty and subbed him on specifically to take the penalty when you had Yarmolenko, who was relatively fresh-legged. I think he'd only been on the pitch maybe 20 minutes or so. He had a plethora of players who could have taken that penalty. So to bring on Noble, who, like I said, wasn't warmed up, essentially his first touch of the ball was the penalty, and he's had it saved by David De Gea. So really, that's a bad management from David Moyes for me.
And it was a really, really good save by David De Gea as well.
He
pushed it away so well. It went for a throw almost.
He's in great form.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is bad news for Dean Henderson, of course. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the last game weekend, which you guys covered on Tekkers, of course, Tottenham 0, Chelsea 3. 0-0 at half time. But Tottenham imploded second half. Absolutely imploded.
I don't even think it was pretty much that a Tottenham implosion. I think it was just Thomas Tuchel turned it up a gear, and the Chelsea just ran riot. Tottenham had plenty of good chances in the first half. It was very kind of end to end. For me, the star of the show was Marcos Alonso. I think he was attacking wise was always a threat, but the goals came. None of them was spectacular, but they were from silly mistakes like letting Thiago Silva go and not picking him up. The deflection from Eric Dyer, nobody picking up Rudiger in the box. All things that a Premier League team should be able to stop. So Tottenham were it was their own fault for their downfall. But I think 3-0 maybe flattered Chelsea a little bit.
It may be a little bit flattering, but I don't think at any point Tottenham looked like they were going to get anything out of this game. After the second half began.
Oh, certainly in the second half, it was like two different games. Going into the end of the first half, both teams had equal shots on target. At the end of the second half, Chelsea had more than double what Tottenham had, and way more on target. So it was definitely a way better performance in that second half by Chelsea.
Indeed, and of course, table-wise, that means Chelsea go to the top of the table on goals scored, I believe, because goal difference is exactly the same. And of course, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea at the top three.
Chelsea are actually top on alphabetical order.
It's alphabetical order. That's a harsh way to win.
Yeah, it's both Chelsea and Liverpool have played 5, won 4, drawn 1, scored 12, and conceded 1 goal. So it's essentially alphabetical order.
If that's the case, end of the season, it will come out of a playoff game, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope it doesn't happen like that because.
I think at the end of the season it would go off results between the two.
Yeah, but if results were exactly the same, then that would be exactly the same. 2 draws. It would be down to a playoff game. We don't want that, of course, because we never had that before. But it was considered for City United a few years back. At the top of the table, it's just so weird seeing Brighton in that mix and above.
It's weird but lovely. I love to see it.
It is lovely to see. We'll glance at the bottom of the table. There we go.
Actually, the interesting team at the bottom of the table for me is Leeds.
3 points, that's it.
Yeah, 3 points out of 5 games. That's is the Bielsa style of football. Has it been found out? Maybe, or have they just had some abysmal luck? I'm sure we'll find out over the rest of the season. But Arsenal in 13th this time last year, they were in 10th, and we were essentially crying for the end of the world. The Arsenal spent 153 million and are now 3 places lower than they were last year.
I would say, at the risk of getting absolutely ridiculed, they have won both of their last 2 games, so they have upped their game last 2 matches.
And if they hadn't have won them, they would be rock bottom.
Absolutely. And to be fair, Aaron Ramsdale, who he put a lot of money into, has done a great job this weekend on his first start in the league for them. So, sometimes
things are looking up.
Well, to be fair, sometimes it always is up, especially if you are Norwich at the moment. I'm sorry, Norwich. I have concerns for Southampton though, because they've played 5, drawn 4.
4 on the bounce.
Yeah, so I mean, in a way, good because you're not losing games, but you need to be winning your games. Although the point at Man City, not to be sniffed at. If you can perform like that all season, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Happy seeing Brentford top half. Happy seeing Watford above Leicester and Arsenal. If that can happen in the season, they'll be very happy.
Yeah, Watford was one of the teams that I certainly had pegged as relegation fodder. So to see them just outside the top half, that's cool for me. But I don't think they will be there for long. I think they'll soon be dropping down the league bit by bit. I think they'll get dragged into a relegation battle. So
we are already 1/6 away for the season, Hegs.
Time flies, sir. Time flies.
No, not 1/6, is it? No, can't 1/6. 1/8. 1/8 for the season. 1/8 for the season. Already, and we are heading. My math is terrible. Just ask Graham. We'll be back. Obviously on Tekkers for next weekend. We will let you know the games we are covering. We
Potentially a triple header.
There's a lot of big games next week, of course. Obviously, we've got Man City, Chelsea, which is already a 6-pointer, because if City lose that, they'll be 6 points off the top, which at this end of the season, it would be almost catastrophic already.
And then on the same day, we have Brentford versus Liverpool, which, depending on the results of the Chelsea City match, could be very, very interesting.
Indeed, because Brentford could technically go about Man City if Chelsea would have beat them, and vice versa, Liverpool could go about Chelsea if it would have beat Chelsea. It's so many combinations already. And then on Sunday, the small matter of the North London derby.
Yes.
Small matter. Thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget to follow Mags at Pod4Mags.
Follow Matt at the Matt Attack UK.
Thank you, sir. Obviously, follow the boss, if you can call him that, at Tekkers Gentleman _ and follow the show, the channel at Radio Tekkers. Don't forget to, like I said at the bottom of scrolling right now, like, share, and subscribe to us on YouTube, and obviously go do it on YouTube and Twitter as well. Always a good time. So yeah, on behalf of us both here at Radio Tekkers for that review, we'll see you for Matchday 6.
Bye bye.
We're out of here.